So, what pops into your head when you hear the word truck? Let me guess. You're probably picturing this big, slow, heavy machine, right? Something whose entire existence revolves around hauling dirt or lumber from point A to point B. Well, if that's what you're thinking, I need you to completely throw those assumptions out the window today. Because the machines we're going to be talking about, they don't just haul cargo. They literally destroy sports cars right off the starting line. Welcome to The Explainer. I am so pumped you're here with us today because we are diving deep into the absolute wild evolution of the supertruck. We're going to trace exactly how these things morphed from, your everyday utility workhorses into these absolute performance overlords. It's a seriously amazing feat of engineering, and we're going to break down exactly how it all went down.
All right, let's just dive right in, shall we? Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll hit the fast-track paradigm, then jump right back to the absolute legends of the 1990s that kicked this whole thing off. After that, we'll track the engine arms race, look at extreme engineering and records, and wrap it all up with today's electric truck revolution.
To really appreciate this wild evolution, we kind of need to establish the baseline first. Section 1, the fast-track paradigm.
Look, for decades, the traditional truck was totally defined by utility. They were heavy, they were slow, and they were rugged. But this modern supertruck era, it has completely shattered that old paradigm. We're talking about total monsters pushing out 700+ horsepower. Some of these things are launching from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. Just wrap your head around that for a second. You're sitting in a rig that weighs literally thousands of pounds, and you are absolutely dusting purpose-built lightweight sports cars. It's wild. And the reason this matters so much, whether you're a massive gearhead or just someone who appreciates crazy engineering, is that it completely redefines the laws of physics. It proves that size definitely doesn't always dictate speed.
But okay, how in the world did we get to a point where a pickup is doing 0 to 60 in 3 seconds? Well, it definitely didn't happen overnight. Section 2, 1990s Legends, where it all started.
Listen, if there is literally one thing you take away from this explainer today, please let it be this. This insane performance trend, it actually started 3 decades ago. The 1990s is the era that changed the game forever. In the early 90s, the GMC Syclone essentially kicked the door completely off its hinges. And then, later in the decade, the Ford F-150 SVT Lightning took that baton and became this ultimate symbol of loud, aggressive American muscle. Make no mistake, these two pioneers are the grandfathers of literally every supertruck you see on the road today.
4.5 seconds. Let that sink in. That was the 0 to 60 time for the GMC Syclone in the early 90s. Honestly, at first glance, it just looked like your run-of-the-mill small pickup truck. But underneath, oh man, GMC packed in a revolutionary turbocharged 4.3-liter V6 and paired it with an advanced all-wheel drive system. Can you imagine pulling up to a red light back in 1991 in your fancy European sports car, feeling all confident, only to get absolutely dusted by a little black pickup truck? With a top speed of 124 miles per hour, the Syclone was the crucial proof of concept. It proved a truck could be a legitimate, terrifying performance vehicle.
And trust me, Ford was watching very closely. Their response? The second-generation F-150 SVT Lightning. Now, this was a totally different beast. We're talking a 5.4-liter supercharged V8 blasting 380 horsepower straight to the rear wheels. It was big, it was unapologetically loud, and it could hit 60 miles per hour in roughly 5 seconds flat. The Lightning took high-performance truck culture and just shoved it right into the mainstream. It gave us that glorious, massive V8 supercharger whine echoing through the streets.
So those 1990s pioneers basically lit a match in the automotive world. And, well, that spark turned into an absolute explosion of horsepower. That brings us to Section 3, the engine arms race.
Dodge took one look at what GMC and Ford were doing and basically decided to completely lose their minds in the absolute best way possible. Their engineering solution? Literally ripping a massive 8.3-liter 500-horsepower V10 engine straight out of a Dodge Viper supercar and just dropping it into a pickup truck. A Viper V10 inside a pickup truck. It is so wonderfully ridiculous. It was obnoxiously loud, completely unnecessary, and guess what? It hit 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds.
And get this, it wasn't just quick off the line, 154.6 miles per hour. That is the actual Guinness World Record average speed achieved by the Ram SRT-10. Over 2 runs, this giant aerodynamic brick of a vehicle averaged nearly 155 miles per hour, officially crowning it the fastest production pickup truck in the world at the time. It perfectly captures an era of just pure, unadulterated madness in American manufacturing.
And you can really see how that wild combustion arms race eventually evolved into modern monsters, like the Ford F-150 Raptor R. I mean, just look at these specs. We are now dealing with a supercharged 5.2-liter V8 pushing out around 700 horsepower. That's an engine born straight out of Ford's high-performance Mustang lineup. But here's the kicker. Unlike the street-focused trucks of the 90s and 2000s, the Raptor R is specifically engineered to attack deserts and rough terrain at highway speeds. It is pretty much the modern peak of the internal combustion arms race.
But what happens when you decide that factory production limits are basically just friendly suggestions? Let's get into Section 4, Extreme Engineering and Records.
You see, for the folks chasing absolute speed, standard factory trucks just aren't going to cut it. These mad scientists take heavily modified Ford Super Duty trucks, yes, I'm talking about massive diesel and gas hauling trucks, and completely transform them into land speed record destroyers. To pull this off, they have to drastically lower the suspension, entirely rework the body aerodynamics so it can actually cut through the air, and push those engines way, way beyond anything a dealership would ever sign off on. They basically prove that with enough engineering magic, even a heavy-duty hauler can become an unstoppable land speed monster.
Now, what's really fascinating here is that extreme engineering isn't only about land speed records, it's also just about sheer excess. Enter the Hennessey VelociRaptor 6x6. This thing is madness on wheels. Well, 6 wheels to be exact. It starts its life as a regular Ford Raptor, but then Hennessey comes in, slaps on an entire extra axle, cranks the twin-turbo engine to over 700 horsepower, and somehow gets this literal tank to 60 miles per hour in about 4 seconds. It's incredibly expensive, it's ultra-exclusive, and it makes one very loud statement: more wheels, more power, more speed.
All right, let's shift gears and look at where this is all heading. Section 5, the electric truck revolution.
If you want to understand why electric trucks are completely rewriting the rulebook right now, you really only need to understand one crucial concept: instant torque. Think about it. In a gas engine, you have to wait for the engine to build up RPMs before you hit maximum pulling power, right? But electric motors, they deliver maximum power immediately. The exact millisecond your foot touches that pedal, you get everything. Boom! This instant torque is the absolute secret weapon that allows these massively heavy utility vehicles to accelerate like literal supercars.
The acceleration times we're seeing today are just staggering. Seriously, the Rivian R1T, it hit 60 in a flat 3.0 seconds. The Tesla Cybertruck Cyberbeast, which uses 3 electric motors, is doing it in under 3 seconds. And even the unimaginably massive GMC Hummer EV is sitting right around the 3.0 second mark too. There's no V8, no V10, no supercharger whine, just massive batteries and motors giving you hypercar acceleration wrapped up in a utility chassis.
Actually, this whole crazy paradigm shift is perfectly captured by the GMC Hummer EV. This vehicle is a walking or rolling engineering paradox. It weighs more than many large SUVs, yet it produces close to 1,000 horsepower. In the old days, if you wanted to go fast, the golden rule was to make the car as light as humanly possible. The Hummer EV proves that sometimes the solution to extreme weight isn't putting the car on a diet, it's just shoving in a gigantic battery and more electric motors. It basically ignores the laws of physics through sheer brute electric force.
So as we look back at the progression of this incredible journey, the numbers are just mind-bending, aren't they? The modern tri-motor Cyberbeast doing 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds is absolutely insane. And the Viper-powered Ram SRT-10 from the 2000s will always be legendary, but I really want to bring it right back to where we started. Look at our 1990s pioneer. The GMC Syclone pulled off a 4.5-second time with a turbo V6 over 30 years ago. Honestly, without that revolutionary spark in the 90s proving that pickups could actually be ridiculously fast, there's no way we'd have the incredible electric supertrucks we're seeing today.
We have literally watched heavy-duty haulers transform into track stars. But I want to leave you with this final thought. If you had the keys to just one, which legendary truck would you actually choose? Would you go for the loud, chaotic roar of the V10-powered Ram SRT-10, the modern, desert-conquering supercharged Raptor R, or maybe the silent, rocket ship acceleration of the electric Cyberbeast? Will the future be entirely electric, or will the rumble of a massive V8 always hold a piece of our hearts? Ponder that for a bit, because I'll tell you what, the truck world has literally never been more exciting. Thanks so much for exploring this with me today, and hey, keep learning.